It's time for a change in this country, my friends, a real change.
Liberal leader Justin Trudeau paid a visit to the northwestern corner of the Greater Toronto Area to enthusiastic applause. Gagan Sekand is the Liberal candidate for the riding of Mississauga Streetsville. He was on stage with his leader. Earlier, Sekand pumped up his supporters at his election headquarters. The riding is part of the politically desirable 905 area, the suburban circle around Toronto. If candidates can make it here, they can make it anywhere. This is considered a swing riding. The Liberals are looking to take back the seat from the Conservative incumbent, Brad Butt. What's it like running against an incumbent?
You know, I don't really think about it. I just kind of stay focused on knocking on doors, seeing what people want, what they want changed, and yeah, just keep focused. I guess I hear there's an advantage to being an incumbent or not, but I think since I am running for the first time, it motivates you to run a little bit harder. It's your first time. You're also more enthusiastic, right? It's all new. I'm enjoying meeting the people, so I don't know, it's good.
Fayaz Karim is running for the NDP. The New Democrats have never won an election here, but he feels his time may have come.
Finish up maybe around this area today. And I think by putting in some effort the way we have been in Mississauga, Streetsville, anything is possible. We're happy with that, but also it's just more than what the polls are saying. It's about giving people a credible alternative. And this time Canadians are realizing that there is a credible alternative in the NDP. We are putting forward policy ideas that have been tested. And with the NDP's background of fiscal management, prudent fiscal management, we know that Canadians are resonating with that. So definitely everything is on the table, and we are working towards that, working hard towards that. The kind of people that are joining our campaign is really, really very encouraging. We have a diverse group of Canadians that really represents Canada today. We have young, we have middle-aged, we have elderly, we have seniors. We have from every ethnic background.
Chris Hill is the Green Party candidate. What percentage of the vote are you hoping to get?
Well, we'd like to get at least 10% of the vote this time around. That would be more than double than what the Greens got in the last election in Mississauga, Streetsville. Nationally, we're hoping to get over 1 million votes and elect 12 MPs to Parliament. That's an aspirational goal. We certainly want to hold the seat that we've already got for Elizabeth May in Saanich Gulf Islands and for our Deputy Leader, Bruce Heyer, in Thunder Bay, Superior North.
As I mentioned, Brad Butt is the Conservative candidate in this riding. But after many emails and telephone calls, we were unable to set up an interview with him. His election team declined our request. As a riding, Mississauga Streetsville embraces both the new and the old. It's an area of recently built subdivisions for sure, but it also has a history that dates back to the early 1800s. This is the oldest building in Streetsville, Montreal House, built in 1821. But a just approved building is proving to be much more controversial in this community. Mississauga City Council recently approved construction of a 2-story mosque near the Meadowvale Town Centre. A group of residents plans to appeal the decision. Francis D'Souza is a journalist who has lived his entire life in Mississauga.
Islamic issues have been such a divisive issue in this election, and it's so divisive because of the parties. The parties have made it a divisive issue in this election, right or wrong. And the undertone in this is there is a lot of racism that has flooded this campaign. And the woman, for instance, who wanted to wear her niqab to take her citizenship oath is from Mississauga. And that has really been an earmark of the Conservative campaign. You know, we have a famous Olympic hockey player here, Cheryl Pounder. She was in tears finding out that the decision was to go ahead with the mosque. And, you know, it's shocking that people aren't being inclusive. But, you know, are they being inclusive because of religious issues, or are they being inclusive because the density has increased in Mississauga? And at this time, it could be density, and it could be that people don't want the traffic in their neighborhood. Congestion is a major issue in this city as well.
They're non-racial concerns. It's just I think it's going to cause a lot of attention and a lot of vandalism because there's a high school there, there's a church there, there's a daycare there, plus all the parking in here. Where are these people going to park, right? I think that it's going to take up more space, and it's just going to cause a lot more traffic on Winston Churchill. I mean, there's enough traffic as it is. People park here, and then they cross the street to go to that mosque, and it's like, someone's going to get hit by a car sooner or later.
Why is the construction of the mosque being such a contentious issue?
That's a good question, and it baffles me sometimes. And the arguments that the opposition to the mosque were making, they were not credible arguments. They were arguments based on fear-mongering. They were arguments based on blatant racism, and nothing that stood out as a clear argument. I'll give you an example. One of the things that people keep talking about is the traffic that is going to pose. So here's the deal. The busiest time in that mosque is going to be probably on a Friday around 1 p.m. for about 30 minutes. That's the busiest time in that mosque, one period where it's busy. If people are actually worried about traffic, I would think they will be worried about the Meadowville Town Centre, which is right opposite, where there are thousands of cars in and out all day long, 7 days a week. So we're not worried about that, but we're worried about a little mosque. It's actually a small mosque.
It's difficult to understand really what the true issue is here with regards to the mosque. I've seen the plans that are available on the city's website. It appears to be a fairly ordinary two-story building, no taller than the buildings in this mall here. So I can't see what the objections of the residents would be. Talking with one of the shop owners here, he mentioned the issue would probably be traffic, because Winston Churchill is quite busy. This is probably the most congested part of Winston Churchill because it's only 2 lanes in each direction here. But I think that's only going to be on Fridays. We have similar issues with churches in the area on Sundays, so I don't quite understand why everybody's feeling this is going to be something terribly different or new that they won't be able to deal with.
Why do you need a mosque here? You've got one in there already.
This is not a mosque. This is a temporary place. This is a church, and so there's not a proper arrangement for the people to stand there. So we normally came here on Fridays only, So and we pay the rental for Fridays, and especially in Ramadan, we hired it for the whole month, Yeah.
So you need a mosque.
We need a mosque. Mosque is not only for prayer, but it's for community services like children, for women to come, to celebrate, and stuff like that.
Immigrants make up 45% of this riding, so it's no wonder the mosque is provoking such controversy. The recent newcomers here are also concerned about Bill C-24. The law allows for deportation of dual citizens convicted of terrorism, treason, and some kinds of espionage.
People are concerned. I know at the moment it's to fight terrorism, but just the idea of dividing people into categories, people don't agree with it. I don't agree with it, and I'm actually pretty happy that our party will look to repeal those parts that are offensive, if not the whole thing. And it also, if somebody leaves Canada for whatever reason, it says something when somebody could possibly have their citizenship taken away at the discretion of a politician and not allowed to appeal it. It just doesn't sit well with people.
One of the biggest problems, I think, with C-24 is that it gives arbitrary power to the Minister of Citizenship and Immigration to revoke your citizenship. Okay, that's unheard of in Canada. Now, they say, basically, it's to catch the bad guys, to deport those who commit acts of terrorism. Now, we are not against taking action against people who commit acts of terrorism, but there's an inherent danger in that. They can go after anyone that they want to, and there is no guarantee that the right person will always be caught, as we've seen with Maha Arar. So this is pretty dangerous, and we have seen that this government will use fear and hysteria to manipulate voters and to manipulate the political situation in the country. So people are really scared about it. That affects all of us. It also creates a 2-tier class of citizens. So even my kids who was born here, all right, they are at risk for this. They're just 11 and 13, but they are at risk for this. I am at risk for this. Citizenship is supposed to be untouchable.
Immigration policy is also a potential game changer in this riding.
In a neighborhood like this, and there are so many across Mississauga, you've got lots of immigrants that have moved into the areas. They're bringing family here. I mean, this is the area where immigrants settle. This is where they prefer to settle. They've got family. They have support here. And you know what? What they're running into is immigration issues, because what was promised that you could bring your family over, suddenly they're finding out that it's even more difficult. The wait times are incredibly long now. The Liberals have dominated here, but the Conservatives have broken ground in this area. And really, it's been a battle between the Conservatives and the Liberals. And, you know, the NDP candidates aren't well known in this neighborhood. They do change quite often. What's interesting here is that if you look at the names of the NDP candidates running in this area, they're Islamic names, they're Muslim names. And with such a high Muslim population here, and the issue of the mosque in Meadowvale, it'll be very interesting to see if the NDP can actually make any headway here. Would they place second? Would they come a stronger third? Will they even break through? I don't think they'll break through, because it's been such a back and forth between Liberals and the PCs, but it would be very interesting to see if they make any headway in this area.
The niqab controversy is also striking a chord with voters.
I think the fact that Canada is being divided, like we used to be very united, and now there's so much controversy among the different parties trying to divide us along issues when we should be united on the important issues like the economy and things like that, but we're being divided along like ethnic and other lines. It's a concern to me, and it seems like we're being manipulated.
You're talking about the niqab issue?
That's a big one, yeah. I mean, it affects such a tiny, tiny portion of people, and yet it's being almost like used as a diversion, you know, to take us away from more important issues, and I think that's a bit insulting to the average voter.
What kind of things are you hearing from voters about immigration policy?
One of the biggest problems is sponsorship. It's been a big problem. You can't sponsor parents anymore. You have to go through with this super visa, and people are not happy about that. And the process has been extended. It's so long to get the immigration now, and people don't feel that we have a welcoming immigration system anymore. And that's something that the NDP wants to change. We want to make sure we get the immigrants here that we need, but we want to make sure that we have a fair and unbiased immigration system in place. That has changed a lot over the years, and we need to go back to being Canada.
What we wanted to happen was just invite my brothers to come, just so that they can see how the family have, you know, how we've settled, so we can show them our new life, new home.
Like just to visit? Like
just to visit, yeah, just to visit, just to visit. I mean, as I said, they're well settled, they have their families, roots, everything there. So we applied, and we were very hopeful that this time it'll happen. You know, that they'll get the visa. We know that it's not a right, it's a privilege. We all totally understand that. But so, and there was a wedding in the family and all the jazz, but it didn't happen. And they got a letter from Immigration Canada or Citizenship Canada that what was the reason why did you want it to go? And we're like, I was speechless. I was speechless because we attached all paperwork. There was a wedding card there with the date, and I just felt that I felt ashamed.
Do you hear much about immigration policy?
I do, actually. I did hear someone today. He was a student, actually. He was telling me how he's sponsored someone, and you know, it's been 2 years since he's heard of anything, and he's not getting a reply back. And you know, we know there's a backlog, but I think the fact that people are a little unsure of what's going on, there needs to be more communication when it comes to immigration.
And what would you do to speed things up?
Well, we're going to invest a lot more money. Just last week, actually, we announced that we're going to invest a lot more money into the processing times, so you do kind of clear up that backlog.
What about family reunification?
Yep, that's another issue. At the moment, the applications are capped at 5,000. We're going to double that to 10,000, and I guess that ties into the whole immigration file that needs to be addressed.
In the voters' minds, the government's refugee policy goes hand in hand with immigration.
I think that our government was slow to react and a little bit clumsy in the way that they actually presented their position with regards to more refugees coming in from Syria. we've obviously dealt with this before in Canada. If we just go back 30 years to the 60,000 people that we brought in from Indochina, if we go back even further to Hungary in 1957, to Uganda in the early 1970s, we absorbed a lot of people very quickly into that area. This particular community here offers a very diverse mix of housing as well. So around the Meadowvale Town Centre here, you'll see apartment blocks. We've got garden court style homes as well, which are both rentals and ownership. We've got condominiums, we've got semi-detached, we've got detached homes as well. So there's a great deal of choice for people out here. And this is a great place to live simply because we've got the established schools already. We could actually use more students in our schools, I think. So having people move into our community here are help keeping it vibrant.
The government have been saying they have brought in 2,300. I don't believe it. Okay, we have asked for the proof of it. I think CBC even asked the Minister of Citizenship and Immigration about it, and he hung the phone up on them, and they've been refusing to answer questions about it. So that does not tell me that they're really sincere. Now, we have always been cooperative with the United Nations. We've always been cooperative with the international community. We need to go back to doing that. Europe is taking in thousands, tens of thousands of refugees. We have always led on the international scale when it comes to humanitarian assistance overseas and taking in refugees in this country.
There was a young lady I met when this first happened, when everyone saw the picture, at the GO station, and she was really upset. She goes, Germany's doing this, and we would expect so much more out of Canada. We were known for peacekeeping, and all I could do was stand there and nod. Everything she said made absolute sense, and it's a little disheartening to know that we haven't done our part as of yet. So again, I'm looking forward to eventually bringing in the 25,000 as we've stated.
The Conservatives would tell you that they need to be mindful of security and who we let into this country. What do you say to that?
Absolutely. A greater number of refugees doesn't necessarily mean a compromise in the screening process. Screening will still be done, which will protect everybody's security. And, we have had refugees come in the past, and I don't think we've ever actually had concerns with security, none that I know of. So this measure of security, I think, is just a guise. If you truly want to help people, you help people.
I worry about the economy. No one out there really has full-time jobs anymore. People are working part-time here, part-time there, contract work. It's the economy is bad, and this new 12-country trade agreement that they're looking to do to cap the automotive industry and stuff like that it's not going to be good for Ontario. Ontario is. Just look at Alberta. You know what I mean? It was a great place. Everybody went out there, and now everybody's losing their jobs. The country's in some hard times right now.
My wife isn't working. My daughter isn't working. So, yes. Of course. And I'm sure there are a lot of people around who are not working as well, right?
What would you like to see a government do?
What can they do? Tell me. You tell me. I wouldn't mind that the economy is better. I mean, I'm working, but is everybody else working? What can they do? You tell me. I'm not in the government. I'm asking them to give me the answers, not for me to give them the answers.
We are the first generation, the first time that Canadians are going to be left with much less than our parents' generation left us with. Now, employment, that's how you build an economy. That's how you get people working, they spend, they're secured, they're happy. They build their lives. They contribute to society in more than just an economic way, in a social way as well. I have been seeing a lot of it happening, that these people, they don't have enough money. They're working, but they don't have enough money to meet their monthly expenses. They are living, I refer to them as the working poor. Like, people are working and they just can't meet their expenses. So that's what precarious employment is doing. That's the kind of jobs that Stephen Harper is creating. So we're saying, no, that's not the kind of jobs that builds our economy and builds our society. We need jobs that are stable, where people are paid properly. That's why in federal jurisdiction, we're going to implement a $15 a day minimum wage.
What we really need in this country is a guaranteed livable income, wherein we would replace all of the myriad payments that people can be qualified for, including the working income tax benefit, which for people earning as little as $343 a week, that's less than $18,000 a year. They can't qualify for that. But this would also replace things like old age security, for example, welfare, the universal child care benefit. It would not touch the Canada Pension Plan or employment insurance or pharmaceutical benefits or dental care benefits for low-income people. It would not affect that sort of thing, but it would make sure that every Canadian would not fall below a certain floor in terms of income.
Yeah, the it's a huge concern. People are unemployed. The next generation finds it difficult to purchase a home. And, as you know, we are in a technical recession, so something needs to be done.
What?
Well, we can't balance the budget and cut social services to do it. So what we're doing is actually going to invest a lot of money into infrastructure, which is great. Not only in a place like this, which is, needs a lot of infrastructure, you're creating direct jobs.
Many of the people who live in Mississauga moved here to raise their families. Childcare policies resonate in this community.
If you're making over $40,000 a year, your child tax benefit is nothing. How does that help you? At least if you're making $40,000 or $50,000 a year and you're a middle-income family and the government wants to claim that they want to help you, well, they should be giving you more than what they do. They're penalizing you for making more money, yet they tell you they want to help you with your children. How's that?
Our Canada Child Care benefit is actually going to provide more money to these type of families, but it's also going to be tax-free. Because we don't really need millionaires to receive child care benefits. A lot of voters are pretty surprised to hear that they receive a check, and then the next year they actually have to pay some of that back. It's counterintuitive. So they're very happy not only that they're going to receive more, but it's actually going to be tax-free.
Childcare is a huge issue right here in Peel. I am a volunteer with an organization called the Peel Poverty Action Group. And we have been, dealing with a lot of these cases for a long time. And I know there are many families out there, but there are many single women out there with 1 kid, 2 kids. These are women that are forced to stay at home and look after a kid and receive social assistance. I know many of them. These are people that want to go out and work. They want to contribute to the economy. They want to contribute to their own well-being and their own upliftment and economic and social mobilization. They can't because they can't afford childcare. I know what childcare is like too. I have 2 kids. I had 2 kids. It cost me an arm and a leg to take care of them in childcare. So bringing in that $15 a day childcare is an economic decision. It's an ethical decision. It will stimulate the economy because a lot more people will be going out to work and putting money into the economy.
Healthcare is also of concern here. The Greens promise pharmacare.
Pharmacare should be a national program to complement the existing healthcare program that we've had in Canada since the 1960s, and this will help to bring down the cost of drugs as well. So our plan for pharmacare includes an $11 billion cost reduction simply through bulk buying of pharmaceuticals and drugs right now, which can be very expensive. There was a story on earlier this week about a drug that increased something like 5,000%. It was a painkiller type of a drug for cardiac patients. And this is the sort of thing that shouldn't be allowed to happen for certain, but it is a free market when it comes to pharmaceuticals as such, but we think that the government as a major player can substantially reduce the price of prescription drugs.
I am of the belief that prevention is better than cure, all right? Again, this is an area where we know that a lot of people are not taking their medicine. They're not keeping up with what their doctors recommend because they can't afford it. Medication in this country is really very expensive. So I remember from the history books, I wasn't there at that time, but when Tommy Douglas brought in universal care to Saskatchewan and then to the rest of Canada. We got it. Everybody was up in arms. Oh, we could not afford this. We can't do this, you know. And everybody was complaining to the sky. We knew that it could have been done. If you set your right priorities, your spending priorities and so forth, you can do a lot of things.
I know the NDP and the Green Party have promised pharmacare. What's your party's stand on that?
So under the Harper government, we've actually seen that out-of-pocket spending for things like medication have gone from $3.9 billion to $7 billion. So they're clearly not addressing the problem. And we are going to work with the provinces to establish some incentives and hopefully a pharmacare plan.
Like any suburban riding, the people of Mississauga Streetsville are fed up with the endless commute to work. At the rally, Justin Trudeau got a big response from his supporters when he brought up Gridlock.
Stephen Harper just doesn't see what you're going through. When you spend a decade in a motorcade, you don't have to worry about traffic jams.
It's a problem, actually. Like a lot of people tell me, they sometimes find it difficult to even make it home on time for dinner, which is why it's great that we've pledged the $125 billion, but a lot of that is actually allocated to public transit. So it's $20 billion over the 10 years and $6 billion in the first 4. So once you have a federal partner, the municipalities can actually alleviate some of that traffic, whether that's the LRTs, whether that's more GO trains. You just need that federal partner.
In Mississauga, we have 4 major east-west highways that cross this city right now, yet it can still take 2 hours to get from the west side of Mississauga to the east side in the morning, and the same amount of time coming back if there's weather, if there's traffic congestion, if there's construction, whatever it might be. This city is extremely difficult to get around in. Transit's great if you're going downtown or if you're going to York University or McMaster or to Guelph. So it's really set up to serve the university student population as such, plus the commuting public that moves along the CP line here from Milton to downtown. I personally feel that the evolution of the automotive technology suggests to us that we should be going slow with regards to really big ticket transit infrastructure. As automated cars come into being, there's a very good chance that all of this infrastructure is going to be used less rather than more. If you've got the possibility of a vehicle that will come and pick you up and take you where you want to go, and you don't have to worry about parking it at the end of the day, then suddenly the whole issue about waiting for transit takes on a whole new meaning.
There is one more candidate running in Mississauga Streetsville. It's Yegor Tsarevich, who is running for the Christian Heritage Party. From Mississauga, I'm Laura Di Battista for CPAC.